12:43 now on this Thursday, the 29th of July. Good afternoon. Welcome to the noon edition of Central Valley Talk. I am Austin Reed. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We're so happy that you are here with us today. Hey, weather-wise, across the Central Valley on this Thursday, highs will be right around 105. We are expecting a little bit of a cool down by Saturday, 99. Mostly sunny skies, but then Monday, 103. And tomorrow, your forecast, 102 for a high. All right, our next guest joining us live in our Tower District studios today is Matthew Embry. Matthew, good afternoon. Welcome. You're in person.
Hey, yeah, it's good to be here. Yeah, good to see you, Austin.
Instead of the Zoom thing. I love it.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
And thanks to Michael on the technical crew
Shout
back
out.
there,
Yep,
as
yep.
always.
Michael's the best director in the world. I always say
talking
that.
about.
He is.
Right.
Matthew, Matthew, by the way, if you haven't seen
Yeah.
him before, you are an artist. You are a musician. You do a lot of stuff here in Fresno. What's been going on lately?
What brought me in today is some new works. I have a new album out called Conversations with John. So there's a new solo album that I'm slowly releasing. It's all recorded, and about half of it is still in post-production, but a good portion of it is released. Maybe about every 3 weeks I have another release, and so that's a new album. And I approached it really differently. It was more approached in a sense how Ornette Coleman might. I just went into the studio and just improvised. I'm definitely a songwriter and have more of a history with probably being influenced by rock and classical, though I've always loved jazz. And I thought for this project just to go in without any preconceptions and just purely improvise and see what the results will be. So the album's done, and it's a good, I think it'll be a good template for the future, partially inspired by an album called Conversations with Myself by Bill Evans that was back from maybe the early 60s, where he did something that was very strange for jazz at the time in the sense of overdubbing at all. And he basically did overdubs with himself and created the entire album that way. So that was a partial inspiration for this album. Also, it's for my brother John, who passed away recently. Yeah, he passed away unexpectedly, maybe about a year ago now.
Wow.
And so, yeah, this album is for him.
Rest in peace, for sure.
Thank you. Cheers.
Let's talk. I love interviewing you because we get to talk about aliens, and I want to talk about it. Talk about it.
Okay.
So the because you love that, right? You love that.
I'm interested in the topic.
Yeah. Because atoms are aliens. How did you come up with that name, by the way?
Yeah, the name kind of evolved out of it was a solo project of my friend, whose name happens to be Aaron Alfred Arredondo.
Oh, wow.
So there was an AAA going on, and then it kind of evolved into we're also a band called Clatterbox, and we were wanting to find a different name that denotates that this group, which is more of a rock pop group, different genre than Clatterbox. And so it just ended up that Atoms Are Aliens ended up being the most appropriate.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And I learned something new today.
Yeah. Okay.
So the U.S. government said that they were going to release information, and of course, I feel like they did us wrong again. And now they're saying, "Oh, well, we don't know." What's your thought on that?
Okay. Yeah, the denial by the government, it's been going on for far too long.
Right.
I think that back even to Roswell, or also the Kingman crash in Arizona in like 1953, which was a similar thing where it really appears that an actual craft was came down, and there really wasn't a protocol as much for the secrecy and what to do with it. And so some of these early events were really seminal in formalizing the approach of the government to this. And it's been really undemocratic, very secretive. And I think that the UFO phenomenon is very, very real, and the government has had information about it for quite a long time. At the same time, even though there wasn't, I don't think it was surprising to most ufologists that not a lot of information came out in this report. Maybe it was, not much ado about nothing, but it really wasn't that groundbreaking. But I think folks already expected that. And actually what has come out recently on NBC and CBS with military pilots, speaking of their experiences, I think has really opened the door a bit more. Some of these pilots, they have seen these craft every day for like 2 years off the eastern seaboard over the Atlantic Ocean. So I think it's really the skeptics and even folks in SETI who are kind of like pretending that we're not already being visited. Those are the people who are a little loony. I think the part that's now more scientifically solid is that this is happening. We're being visited for whatever reason. It's hard to know whether it's interdimensional or it's from somewhere else. I just really don't know. But there's just evidence of this. And one more thing I would say is that military pilots are experts in delineating what they see in the skies, right? I think anybody listening to me without being an expert would understand why. And so when they give us data, also sometimes military policemen or civilian policemen, when they're on duty, when they report things, I think it's very unlikely that they're making it up because they're giving an official report which has to do with their duties. So I think we should respect them enough to listen to what they're saying.
Do you think that the main reason why they're not saying anything is because they feel that society would lose their minds?
Sure. I think they're maybe wanting to stop panic. That's at the same time, I just don't think that's a good reason anymore.
Right.
It's really known about. It's in our art.
Yeah.
Right? Like Close Encounters of the Third Kind was not based on, it's not like Lord of the Rings. It's not based on fantasy. It was really, Steven Spielberg based a lot of that on debatable fact, essentially.
Sure.
In that movie, obviously with going into some other realms artistically. But I think it's something that people just need to come to terms with. It's a little scary, I think, because it is the unknown. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a technology. Okay, one reason that the government has been loath to admit it to the civilian population is it's a technology that's so far beyond our own that it really is in many ways a national security issue.
Sure.
So they don't want to come out with that, and I think admit that to the public that it's really beyond anything we have. And even some of the movements made by these craft, if they had a human pilot within them, the G-forces would make it impossible to survive. So I think it is a technology that we don't fully understand. So there's so many good documentaries, even on Netflix. One that I would point people toward that was partially produced by George Knapp, who's a great ufologist.
Yes, he was. I love him. Yeah,
you know George Knapp, right?
Yeah.
Based out of Las Vegas, who's on Coast to Coast.
That's right, yeah.
He's just wonderful, and he was part of this documentary about Bob Lazar, who you may know about, who uncovered a lot of the stuff about
Area 51. Yeah.
About Area 51, a gentleman who has the scientific knowledge, I think, to understand even some of the technological basis behind these craft that he says he saw.
That's right.
And I think, even folks with a skeptical mind try to check out that documentary with an open mind and really see what he's talking about.
Well, and Bob's, says that they were reverse engineering alien aircraft.
Yes.
Why would he lie? I don't know. He just is such a normal, everyday guy, and people, they're out to get him too.
Okay, yeah, the government has come and really harassed him.
Yeah.
And he's taken a lot of flack for it. So that's an important thing to realize. Even going back to Barney and Betty Hill, a lot of the folks who come out with this information, it hasn't helped their lives per se, or I don't think they've done it for notoriety, or and a lot of times negative things have happened in response. Another good movie about this is Fire in the Sky, which details the Travis Walton story. That's a really credible instance, too, of abduction. And I think a really good movie was made about it, which is entertaining and I think is pretty darn factual. And Travis Walton is still around. Whitley Strieber is still around. A lot of these folks who have really experienced this have stayed solid all these years and said, that this is what I did experience. So, and I have a new track called Celestial Procession from Atoms or Aliens. Could we play that at some point? Like even now, if you guys have that?
Do we have that? Yes, let's play it. Here we go from Matthew Embry, everybody.
Atoms or Aliens, exactly.
I was just telling Matthew off the air that you guys sound like the Orb. And anybody watching, if you know the Orb, you'll know what I'm talking about.
That is so wonderful. Very much synchronicity, and you're also perceptive. You're really listening. Yep. This track, which was written and basically all produced and made by my buddy A-Boy Spork, it's on the album, the Atoms or Aliens album, Across the Galaxy. And the next album that we want to do is we want it to be kind of like a trippy kind of dance album. Cool. Obviously not that copies and sounds just like the Orb, but one that is kind of inspired.
Right.
We've been even calling it the Orb album in our working title as we've been getting going on it. So I'm going to let Aaron know that, his stuff is sounding like that already, which is good. We're going in that direction. Yeah. And this album, it's finally assembled in an audio sense. The full album is finally up there. In the past few months, we've been finishing it and releasing the last few tracks, and now what we have to do is finish the video because we want to make a full-length video to the entire album, and much of it has already been produced, but we have a flurry of activity now to do finishing the videos.
People can learn more at matthewembry.bandcamp.com.
Yes.
And can you come back when you've got some new material?
Sure. That's what usually inspires me to come back in, so that
Great.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
I would love to.
Thanks for joining us today, brother. Good
Thank
conversation.
you, Austin.
It was fun.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Check Matthew Embry out today. I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. We'll be right back.